Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 12 of The Last of Us Part 2. And based on where we ended, this is very likely to be the finale. As always, I've learned not to make any bold promises, but it does feel like we are rapidly approaching a conclusion, and this may turn out to be one of the shortest episodes in the series that we've done so far, or it could go on a lot longer than we think. It's always a little bit difficult to tell. Hello to Tashir and Azric, who are both early sort of joiners. We're going to jump straight in just after a very, very quick recap that many things happened during last episode that we sort of recapped at the end, but the main highlights, which sort of brought us to the moment that we're about to see, is that after returning home to Jackson, sort of the area of Jackson County, Ellie found herself unable to leave things unfinished and has headed out west to California, where Tommy had told her that there were reports of a very strong woman and a kid with a scar on his face, and is currently on the trail of people who we know to be Abby and Lev, who we also know have recently been taken into custody by the Rattlers, which is a group of not very nice people that seem to frequent that California area. So that is where we are pushing inland. And if I don't miss my guess, what we're going to see here is that Ellie is just leaving the boat where she's found some clues as to what Abby's destination was, and we're going to see if we can bring these two crazy kids together. What happens from there is kind of up to them. Hello to Mia. The load times in this are not excessive, but I never have a good sense for how long they are, so I tend to say whatever I have to say first and then hit the button. That sometimes leads to us just watching this circle fill in. I think it was Kyle Hilliard just said something on Twitter about how difficult it is to go back to anything now that he's gotten used to gaming on his Xbox and PlayStation 5, Xbox One X, whatever, Series X. I don't think I read this last time. So the good info I traded those fish for turned out to be bogus. Despite our repeated dead ends, my gut tells me the fireflies are in Santa Barbara, somewhere. I'm picturing the shark I'd be getting if you heard me say that. Shut up. Snark. Wait, what? Somewhere. Oh, just that they even exist at all. Gonna check out another tip back in the suburbs. Wish us luck. I was sitting by the fire last night with Lev, looking at the waves, thinking about you. I told him your stupid joke about the skateboarding grandma. He laughed so hard he spit out his food. It's the happiest I've seen him yet. I miss you. You'd have liked it here. There are no towns, just small caravans that move up and down the coast. Everyone says Santa Barbara is haunted, like some Bermuda Triangle. I think it's beautiful. I saw a seal the other day. It had spots. Is this some kind of karmic way of you mocking me? So this is plainly Abby. As far as who she's writing to, I'd have to assume it's Owen. I suppose it could be Manny, but I don't think that she misses Manny the same way. Oh, hello to Caroluna, or Samalander. Sorry, something just happened in chat because many things just occurred. Just 5 seconds to take a quick look. Yes, Caroluna just rated over. Hello to Azaric, Caroluna, Ricardinho, Moo, Samalander, if I didn't already get him, and Drienne. I hope you guys are all having a great day. You're catching us right at the very beginning. Samalander just did not Samalander, Caroluna. Samalander also did a fun stream, but I was about to say that Caroluna just did a very fun stream of a game called Overload, which I think doesn't have a good name for what appears to be a very good game. Overload is, if not a Descent clone, very, very heavily inspired by the old 6 Degrees of Freedom sort of spaceship shooter in a series of mines. Do I want this? Probably. Crafts 2 bombs. I kind of want that. But then again, this isn't the thing that I'm full on, is it? No, I'm full on this. Alright, so I don't need these things. I've got some alcohol, and I've got some cloth. I'm just going to leave that behind. Yeah, so to share, Moo and I were talking about Quantum Break, and she was saying how much she enjoyed the Quantum Break streams. I do not believe this is the correct way, incidentally. I am looking down here to see if there's anything else of note, maybe a diary entry that Ellie will fill out. For anybody that missed it, Tashir recently did a full-length playthrough of Quantum Break. I got to be there for the very end. I did not get to be there for many of the other episodes just because it was... they were mostly happening while I was trapped at work, but I've gone back through the VODs to catch some of the highlights and some of the big moments that I remember that I don't want to go into here. Okay, and this is as far as it goes. Did anybody else ever do this when they, like, did you ever visit the beach as a kid? We'd go down and then try to, like, predict how high the waves would come up by running back up above the wave line. You'd think it's easy because you just look at where the water is, but every wave is different. But yeah, I feel like Descent is an old enough game that a lot of people, like, won't necessarily know it as a comparison point. So imagine that you are in a 3D mine or complex,
This is
except
promising.
except that you're a spaceship and a very mobile one, so you can move up, down, left, right, forward, back. So you have a lot of freedom in your movement, and you're in zero gravity all of the time. So you don't have to worry about gravity taking over. At least in the old Descent games, there was an option to auto-correct your ship if you wanted to maintain a consistent sense of up and down, but even that was completely optional. And it was all about the flashy weapon effects and the cool explosions and sort of exploring these levels. I don't know. I feel like I'm just going to go up the stairs. I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, do I have a stick? No, I don't. All right. Well, +1 stick. Carolina grew up 100 meters or so from the sea. Really? That's... I wonder if the sea is a lot less exotic if you lived that close to it, because here, I'm just seeing a twig. Yep, okay, well, there's something here. Ammunition. Growing up where I did, actually, where we did, really, going to the beach, going to the ocean was a real big deal. You know, you probably only got to go once a year. Maybe if your family went on vacation someplace with access to a beach, you would get to go a lot for, like, you know, a 3 or 4 day period. Really? Ellie? Okay, she's carrying a big backpack. I guess that's going to be pretty tough. But you can get up here, though, right? There we go.
Okay.
Hello to Dr. Teflon, who says, I grew up on an island until he was 5. The beach ocean is the only place I can get my bearings back when I'm under stress. Interesting. Wow, and you only lived there until you were 5, and that's sort of carried with you. That's very interesting.
Now what? Mesa Bluff. I'm here, and Santa Barbara proper is that way.
Moo is saying that she and Grumpy live very, very close to Lake Michigan. I've never been to the Great Lakes. There's good sound work. You know something's out there. Okay, so we got a runner, whatever we want to call him, up front. But I want to see what's over here. Okay, so here's one that we can probably shank real easy. The only question is anyone going to see us do it? As far as I can see. Okay, now the other one's wandering, so we got to be careful not to get seen. I want to go back and check out that ATV, not because I think it's drivable, but it could have some goodies back here. Oh, I'm definitely swapping out my board for a hammer. Hammer's not great, but it's better than board. All right, and let's read this document real quick. I feel like we're far enough back in the dark. I know I told you I'd wait for you here, but it's not safe. Rattlers are all through these woods. I can't risk getting chained up again. I'll be in that place where I told you that ping pong joke. I missed your laugh. Hope you got out okay. Tashua had a conversation the other day that I kept... Every time I'm not on stream, it's like that Salamander thing, where it's like, I always think to myself that I want to circle, like, you know, talk about whatever it was, like, oh, Tashua, when you were talking about X, Y, and Z, and then I can never think of it in the moment. Okay. I don't like taking the shot from this position. I am the master of shooting a heartbeat too late. And this is just regular arrow, right? What was that we just saw lurking very low? What is that? What the hell are those? I think they're not... What are they called? Stalkers? Yeah. Honest to God, I thought it was like an infected dog at first. I was like, wait, please tell me they don't have those here. But we've seen no evidence of the infection crossing species. Okay, I really pressed L1. I just did it too late. Okay. Is that a musical instrument or some sort of new horrible monster? Oh, Tashir, you had asked for a PM, and then we didn't have a chance. We just kept forgetting to send it. So the movie that we were talking about in Tashir's stream the other day was a little known sort of cult movie called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is not really a horror movie. Like, it's not the kind of movie that you want to watch if you want to be scared. It is the kind of movie that you might want to watch if you are a fan of horror movies, and specifically the horror genre, because it does kind of a very fun take on it. Oh, wait, wait. Am I missing somebody new? Because we're having some references to someone named Black Isis, and I may have missed if anybody new is here. But Moo is saying she plays Solaris and or Eve online, and they don't leave her alone except sometimes to go to the bathroom. Oh, hello to Geek Pantheon also.
to it.
Okay, good. So, yeah, set appropriate expectations for Rise of Leslie Vernon, but it's the kind of movie that it does something new and fresh, I feel like, in the sort of in that genre, and it's certainly worth a watch if you can find it available for streaming, which I think it's like on Amazon Prime streaming or something. Carol Luna saying, man, EVE Online, it's been years since I've played that. Yeah, EVE Online is one of those games that I like. I mentioned this before, but Carol Luna is super fun to have in chat or to watch his stream because he and I come at games from very, very separate positions, and I enjoy hearing about what he like what appeals and doesn't to him, because EVE Online is like we were talking just today in his stream about Quantum Break, and he was saying, I don't know. Wow, I really went backwards. Okay. I'm not sure I want to play a game where I have to watch like a 25-minute television show in order to understand the story. And here he is saying that like it's been years since he's played EVE Online. To me, EVE Online it's amazing to me that people are able to do the things they can, because when people talk about EVE Online, it sounds like the most epic space adventure of all time. And then when you see people play it, you're like, wait. And that's, by the way, just so no one thinks I'm throwing shade, I feel the same way about Stellaris, and I love Stellaris. And Stellaris generates these grand stories about the rise and fall of your empire or another empire, and these stories that span decades or even hundreds of years. But when you see it, it's like, no, you're lying. You're lying that a game looks like this and can produce this kind of narrative. I'm choosing to pretend that the arrow that I shot into it did sufficient damage that the shotgun blast was still a good idea. Carol Luna played it for 5 years sorry, I played it for years with 5 accounts. Yeah, EVE Online is... Wait, I didn't look around at all down here, I don't think. I totally looked down here. Okay. Wait, there's a little gap here. Is this anything more, or that's just an alternative to climbing? Alright, fair enough. I want to check out this dump truck. Garbage truck. It's a truck that goes to the dump, which is where that came from. Okay. I will, you know, like Carol Luna's now saying that it was, multitasking EVE Windows was fun. It does seem like a great kind of game to have, like, okay, I'm doing this thing for work over here, but every, you know, X number of minutes, I can afford to come over here and, like, queue up the next 3 things that are going to happen in EVE Online. Yeah, EVE Online, like, look up some stories about historical events that have happened in EVE Online. Like, massive, thousands of players battles that overtax the servers to the point where they have to run everything at like 1/8 speed to manage all of the calculations for all of the shots that are being fired, all of the damage that's being mitigated, all of the ships and explosions that are being destroyed, all the shrapnel and explosions and derelicts that are being created. And oh, hold on, we found a new card. CBB 73. So, Android. No, yes, Android. Because, look, that's not a human pelvis. And that's all I got. The latest in a long line of synthetic warriors, the CBB 73 was designed to fight battles deemed too dangerous or cruel for humans. But when the Future Alliance captured one on Titan, their scientists used it to test their latest AI ethics technology. Now a trusted ally, CBB is willing to take point on all the Future Alliance's dangerous missions, always reminding them, I am reliable and expendable. But in times of high tension, CBB struggles not to slip back to its original function as a killing machine. Oh my gosh, Carolina saying that there was one streamer with 11 accounts. That is a lot of real-world money to be putting into any single project. All right, just taking a look here, seeing if there's anything cool on the walls. I wonder if Night of the Wolf, Dawn of the Wolf, was as big in California as it is in Seattle. Maybe they don't have all those pictures up. Or, you know something? It could have, like, the infection could have spread at different rates. Like, there could have been parts of the country that were just sort of gamely tooling along and pretending everything was fine. They took down all the Dawn of the Wolf. Fuck.
All right.
Okay, so I'm thinking that maybe we drop a bomb. The fuck? That's not the tool I thought it was. Oh! Many of the wrong decisions. Christ. Oh, let me get out of here. Okay. I will heal. I just want to do it when I'm not quite so imperiled. So, that's the scene where I accidentally confused my trap mines with my smoke bombs. You can see how one is sideways and one is upright. And if you bother to look at them, they're marked. Guess what I didn't do? Okay, so let's swap out this rifle for, well, I guess this, because I've got some explosive arrows for the bow. Also, might be not the worst idea to get healed. Moo was saying, Moo was laughing at the, at the stealthy, hey everyone look over here, with the firing the smoke bomb at nothing for no reason. Okay, well, I'll take that. And, I mean, we mentioned money real quick. That's the other thing about EVE Online. Like, ISK, which I understand to be the currency in the world of EVE Online, has a direct monetary value, which means that when ships or whatever get, like real-world monetary value, and that it can be bought and sold semi-legally, I think. So, yeah, let's build another one of these. When players get into these large fleet operations and things are destroyed, that's real-world value somehow that's getting destroyed as well. Yeah, let's craft up some standard arrows. Because that's one of the things that'll come up if you, like, read news stories about anything that happens. Every once in a while, like, once every couple years, there's some major kerfuffle in EVE Online, and people will talk about it like, yeah, so $300,000 worth of actual real-world American currency was obliterated today in the world of EVE Online because one faction attacked another, and in a battle that lasted 18 hours, this is how many fleet carriers and so forth were destroyed. My favorite EVE Online, which we'll have to talk about this in a second, and I'm not going to remember any of the faction details or names because I've played 0 minutes of this game. I've only ever seen it. Before we get into that, though, so I can do a rangefinder on the bow. I can think of, you know, a lot of benefit to that. Scope on the rifle. I wouldn't say no to that. I've never upgraded the shotgun, mostly because I don't care about any of the 3 things that are there. Then we could do fire rate on the pistol that I don't care about, or reload speed on the revolver. I think of the set. Let's do the scope on the rifle. Anything to make this more accurate. So Sam Linder's saying, I don't think there's any legitimate ways to create cash out of it. That, like, I may be turned around, but I want to say that I've read some stories on Polygon and so forth that sort of gives the, like, what was at the time the ISK to dollar not transition rate. What am I thinking of? Oh, yeah, my hammer was almost ready to blow. I was going to upgrade it, but now I don't have to because of a pipe. Pipe is better than hammer. So, one of the major events that happened in EVE Online once was a player successfully, through a combination of a lot of sort of diplomacy and rising through the ranks and also outright hacking, successfully got control of one of the preeminent player factions. There's only player factions in the game. Everything is player driven in the world of EVE Online. But got control of like one of the really big major ones and dissolved it. Just wished it away. Disbanded the entire corporation. And there were these breathless news stories. Like this made actual like non-EVE Online news sites, which is the only way that I ever found out about it, because there was this sudden massive power vacuum and this huge scramble to snap it all up. And there were details in interviews with like the person that did it. I will look at as soon as that comes back.
Santa Barbara's downhill. 24, 25 constants.
$24.25 constants. There we go. Oh, wait, we've got diary pages. Possibly many of them. Yes. Yes. Okay, so we read that page. I think this one is new. Dixie National Forest. Couple hunters tried to jump me. Didn't go well for them. I just got to the outskirts of Las Vegas. I can hear the infected from here. Must be thousands still alive inside the walls. What a nightmare. I'm going to go around. And accidentally flip the page because I wanted to look down, not over. Palmdale, California. So I'm hiding out in a basement, hoping the hordes pass by. And then she's got all these pictures, including Miss You Potato. Still in this fucking basement. The batteries in my flashlight are almost done. I thought you had like a shake light that would come back. The dark is fucking with me. I keep seeing him, smelling iron. I miss Dina. I miss Potato. What am I doing here? I got out. The horde still got distracted by a group of travelers. Some of them didn't make it. 2 of the bodies were kids. I buried them. Made it to the coast finally. It's gorgeous. Flowers everywhere. There's this thick morning gloom. Is that just fog? Doesn't seem like the military ever came through. Maybe it was too spread out. I wish Dina could see this. She'd lose her shit. I like the sound of these waves. Heading down the coast. Haven't seen people in a few days. Or intact sailboats. What if Tommy was wrong? What if they're not here anymore? I can't think about that. And there's got a lot of pictures of what appear to be moths. I don't know if that's like a California thing. And then 24-25 Constantine. Hey, Wins! The other like big story was, and this one's more personal, and I very much regret that I can't remember like the names or usernames. But so once upon a time, there was some person who decided that they wanted to play EVE Online. So they went in and they were sort of tooling around on their own and doing their own thing and minding their own business. And some player came over and basically blew up a lot of his stuff and took his stuff and like really was a bully to him, even though he didn't have very much relative. So that player, the one that got bullied, the one that got victimized, then spent, I hesitate to say how many years, but years plotting revenge against
to be down there.
Against that player by name. And over the course of multiple years, managed to get into a position where they earned that, like, through a pseudonym, earned that player's trust, got to know them, got access to their accounts and so forth, and ruined them. Like did very much like dissolving the corporation like we talked about, but even more dramatic. You know what, we're never coming back here. I'm going to use this pack. And the article, which again, I think I probably saw on Polygon, because I don't know any other place that covers EVE news with any regularity, had an interview not only with the guy that pulled it all off, but the person who had been originally the bully and then got, like, basically hollowed out as this comeuppance years after the fact. I don't want a hint. It's down, game. What are you going to point me to? Down. Okay, I get it. Wins is saying, when in the dark, moths look for the light, which is very true and apropos. Nope, that's a explosive arrow. We've never fired an explosive arrow. There's just never been a time when I thought, like, that's my mark. Okay, let's try to see if we can get an arrow out of that person's head. I can craft arrows for the bow, but the interesting thing here is that if we're lucky, I'm going to get 2 back. I'm not lucky. If we have average luck, I will get 1 back. Okay, and here we have some explosives. Do I want to do anything with these? Possibly, because I wasted a smoke bomb, and I will get 2 of them if I do this, or 2 bombs if I do this. Well, I'm going to go with the smoke bombs for now. Moo is saying that doesn't sound quite healthy. The multi-year vengeance plot. The good news is it all took place inside of a video game. It's not like on the scale from that to swatting, getting your vengeance inside the game, I feel like I can be okay with. But yeah, to me, it's kind of part of what's remarkable about that is that neither of them found a different hobby in all that time. Okay, I feel like I can get that arrow back. So what do we think that is? Is that tape? I have no idea what that object is. It is tape. It's like electrical tape. Wins is saying it's kind of interesting because fireflies put out light, moths seek light out. Whatever works for both Ellie and Abby, or kind of works for Ellie and Abby when you think about it. I will have to think about that because I'm not sure which is which. I mean, Abby is certainly seeking the fireflies. Shit!
Abby. I found you. I found you.
See? We got a live one.
This bitch is fucked up. We'd be lucky if she lasts a month. Can we please just say we're done for the day?
Yeah. Yeah, get that thing down. Let's reset the traps.
Really, man? I mean, is she even worth the trip back? It's not like...
Hey, get you?
No. I'm good. Something funny?
Looks like you shit your pants.
Fuck you say?
You little bitch.
Oh, you like funny, huh? Get up.
Come on.
Get up.
We don't need
No,
this.
man, she's fucked up anyway, man. Come on. Yeah, it's funny, right? It's funny.
Serious?
Come on, man. Laugh.
Wait. You said Abby. You're looking for an Abby, right? We picked one up a couple months ago.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, no, big girl. Blonde. Arms like mine. She had a scrawny kid with cuts by his mouth. Yeah, that's her. You let me go. I'll tell you where she is. Get to her before that infection takes over.
Talk.
She's in a holding cell at our camp.
Where's that?
Head that way till you hit the railroad track. That'll lead you to a resort. We keep them in the tall, round building. I swear.
Traxter Resort. Tall round building. Traxter Resort. Tall round building. Fuck.
Over here! Aim for his leg!
We'll go back.
Is that a gun? He's got a gun!
Go back!
God damn it.
Shit. All right.
Fuck did he get a gun? Tell the others to search the area. Make sure he's the only one that got out.
Okay, that's a little bit further than I was expecting.
Someone's out there! Sweep this place now! Stray! We got a stray! There!
Shit.
Cut her off!
Oh god, why is it so inaccurate? I need something with a lot more... None of this is gonna be good. What? Sorry, that went way high. Okay. I figure we're not gonna naked gun this, we're just gonna get that over with.
Big group. I better find her before these idiots kill her.
Sam Leonard really loves the glass. Agreed. Yeah, the glass sort of shatter stuff. I thought Ellie's got a real arm. That's all. She really threw that Molotov a lot further than I thought that she could. I was worried about coming up short, so I arced it as far as I could. Also, so how am I doing on crafting? Let me get at least one more Molotov in there, because as we've seen, I rarely hit what I want to on the first one. Oh, and I think it was Sam Leonard was also talking about this particular abdominal injury and how this is the third game where he's seen that. We can certainly talk about, as you pointed out, Joel in The Last of Us 1 got impaled on, like, rebar, I think, or something in a similar location. Okay, so we've got some explosions and some arrows, very much like the arrows. Some explosives. So, that's probably a good opportunity to do the trap mines. I think video games do that because they think that the wound is ambiguous enough that it's like, well, maybe it punctured your, kidney or something, or maybe it just punched into that large space of open air that we all have in front of us where it'll be fine and there's nothing to worry about and you're not going to go into sepsis. Personally, I feel like if I get a hole the size of a quarter in pretty much any of my abdominal regions, I'm just going to die. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of conversation about it. Similar says, if you get lucky, it misses your intestine and just makes it impossible to bend or breathe for a couple weeks. Yeah, that second thing seems like it might be an issue. Also, Drienne was talking about the degree to which the Seraphites went to finding Lev. And, yeah, man, everybody in town knew Lev by sight and wanted to be the one to bring him in. Apparently, cutting your hair is like a capital offense there, to the point where they were mobilizing squads of people to go find Lev and his sister about this. This is not a society that has its priorities on straight. Yeah, so I'm going to... Oh, yeah. We're definitely going to make some more arrows then. And then, was there an upstairs to this area? I definitely didn't check the bathrooms yet. No, I got a good pipe. I don't need that. And I got my bottle back. Oh, another stream that we got to watch was Brian. Brian did a pretty good sized stream of Horizon Zero Dawn, starting from early in the game, but it turns out that it's a game that he's played before. I really like Horizon. Like, I'm looking forward to Mia playing it. I think that game does so many things that are so smart, and it just, like, it doesn't matter what version of the game you're looking at. You can dial the PC settings down to minimum, and that game still looks really good. Carol Luna is saying that the person that he's thinking of for EVE Online wasn't playing it on 12 screens, it was 14. Okay, so we see people down the end of the road. And much closer than the end of the road. That's not cool. So, this person has a helmet on, and I bet that we cannot shoot through the helmet, at least not if it's facing us. The spine works okay, though.
Right.
Sir, we're getting reports that cluster of Reeds is murdering people again. Permission to weed whack. Crap. It's when I don't... Like, thank God that Ellie has extrasensory detection on when people are seeing her, because I... Is there another dog back there? Abby never had to fight dogs. Yeah, that's a dog.
What? It's
Okay.
Mateo! What? What? Someone got him! We got company! He's the entire company.
Drenna's saying that the dogs were on her side. Yeah, but she never ran into, like, other dogs. Like the wolf dogs were on her side, but you would have thought that the Seraphite might have had some dogs too. Or is that against their religion? Okay, okay. If that dog picks up my scent, it's gonna follow me straight to hell. Sam Laird is voting to not kill the dogs. I am working on it. I am working on not killing the dogs.
Everyone report in! Anybody have anything? Anyone?
Nothing here.
Okay. I would much prefer a system where the dogs don't actually like the people that they're working for, and when their master gets killed, the dog goes, huh, and, like, runs away. The dog goes, bark, bark, and then leaves.
No.
I was looking to see if there was any way to
We
get
got another one!
into this building.
We gotta stop this!
Alright. If there was cool stuff back there to pick up, I failed to find it.
I better find her before these idiots kill her.
5 versus 4. I've never killed anybody with a crossbow. Not in this game. No, crowbar, not crossbow. I gotta say, I do feel like a crowbar would have more hits in it than a hollow pipe. The hollow pipe you can buy sort of bending and breaking after a few really solid hits against a human torso. But a crowbar, like the whole thing of that, it's this solid wrought iron that's designed to be, like, survive a bunch of pressure. You can whack a bunch of guys with that.
Shit.
Let's move!
Tall circular building on the left.
That looks like a tall round building. How do I get in there?
I can't tell if Ellie... I feel like Ellie cut her hair and is wearing it down in a way that it was sort of tied back before, but I'm not actually sure. One of the things that I appreciate about this game in particular is that there's been so many sort of like time period changes. We've seen these characters in so many different configurations. Hey, Rattlers, it's Mackenzie. I'm out. I'm free. My husband died picking your fucking tomatoes. We aren't some lonely stragglers. I'll be back with others. Your time is coming. I can't tell if others is misspelled. Also, I'm thinking that that might be Mackenzie. Either that or her husband that got killed picking potatoes or tomatoes. Okay, so we've got some explosives and some tape. That sounds like enough to make some explosive arrows with. And some regular arrows with. I think Horizon Zero Dawn is on Tashir's playlist. I think it's on Mia's playlist. We're talking to Moo today. Hopefully Moo will have a chance to play it. That would be awesome if, like, imagine if that many people were going through that game, like, more or less around the same time. The thing is, I feel like, again, due to its open world nature, there would be, like, people would just, like, diverge. There's no way to maintain parity. There's too much to do.
You can do it. Just a little closer, buddy.
Dude, leave him alone. He can't feel anything.
Fuck that. I promised him I'd do this to him.
This is such a fucked up hobby.
Bet you wish you didn't try to escape now.
See,
don't you, Anthony?
Watch the infected!
Well, that didn't do what I hoped it would. I thought Anthony was going to get his tormentor, but instead just immediately got... Oh no, he's still in the run. As long as these guys are facing each other, I don't have a lot of bow options. Whoa, that's not the button I wanted. Oh, hello.
Wonder it's strapped!
Huh? Okay,
Over here!
Somebody finally figured out maybe it's better if we just riddle that grass with bullets.
God damn!
Oh, hello to Grumpy and everybody raiding over. Thank you, Grumpy. Thank you very much for the raid. For anybody coming over, we are very deep into the world of The Last of Us Part 2. I think the game is phenomenal. So if you were also thinking about playing it, that's my quick end review. But otherwise, hope you guys,
Fucks.
Nope, I don't want that. Well, for all of that, I do kind of feel like I could have just thrown a Molotov at those first three figures and made out pretty well. Wait, is there more? Wow. Alright, now, this is an axe. It's only got 4 hits as opposed to the 5 in the crowbar, but it could max out higher. And it's probably better than crowbar overall. I think it's probably going to be better than crowbar. Let's grab this thing. Yeah, as Drienne says, like when I say deep in, we are end game stuff. So if you are thinking of playing it, this would not be the episode to jump into. But on that note, if you wanted to, see it from the beginning and catch up on the adventure, this episode and all of them are going to be available on our... I got no arrows back, I just realized. All these episodes are going to be up in our collections tab. And I still can't get that explosives. Well, use more boom juice. So, I cannot, it turns out, do an upgrade on the silence submachine gun thing. I can do an upgrade to the fire rate on the revolver. I don't think I want to do that. I feel like everybody watching for any period of time has seen that I tend to line my shots up very carefully in games where there is like a real dearth of ammunition. I think one of the reasons that I'd like to see Tashir play Singularity is just because I reacted very well to that game, and first-person shooters can be real hit or miss. Some of them I really enjoy a lot and get very much into. That's an example. Battlefield Bad Company 2, Fear, but only the first Fear. Only the first Fear. I enjoyed Wolfenstein: The New Order. I think that was the name of it. The first of the modern Wolfensteins. Pretty well. It was okay. I'm not like J.V. Gwaltney about it, but it was good. I liked it. Oh, alcohol. Yep. And then there'll be ones that just, like, I don't give a crap at all. I try to play Battlefield 1 a lot, and I just didn't care about anything in that game. Fear 2 and... I'm trying to... That was the multiplayer one, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, so we tried some Fear 3 multiplayer and tapped out on that pretty early. A co-op horror shooter. There's a great idea. So that's probably the way to go. Let me just check the rest of the way out here. Yeah, Singularity felt like... Describing Singularity I don't think sounds very fun at all, but there was just something about the way that it was put together and it's, the way that it sort of embraced its storyline and stuff that I enjoyed. Spark Thug. So, Spider-Man Shocker-style clone used to be a luchador and now has the ability to project electricity from his hands. That's my guess. Capable of both absorbing and delivering giant bolts of electricity, this mass enforcer uses his powers for everything from petty theft to racketeering to high-level assassinations for the New Dogs. The New Dogs. Once a professional wrestler of some renown, a freak accident after a publicity stunt gone wrong left him with these powerful new abilities and a mind ravaged by constant electrical shocks. His extreme fear of water suggests a potential weakness, though no one has successfully exploited this possibility yet. So, Tashir loved the first 3 modern Wolfensteins, and the New Blood, that's the one about the twin sisters. Isn't that the one?
Okay.
Okay, I think this might have been the way to go, actually. I heard... So, I really want to... I have not played it. I have heard dreadful things about New Blood, if that's the one that I'm thinking of. The one with the 2 sisters, reviewers that I trust that really enjoyed the first 2 games say that the structure of the game is very poorly executed. The characters are very annoying. It doesn't do very much to expand on the universe or the lore of the Wolfenstein series. It seems like the type of thing that just just lets you down on every order. Now, that said, that's not going to be everybody's experience with it. I do hear the music, so we are not alone in here. I just want to make sure that we pick their pockets clean before we head upstairs. My go-to example, and I don't remember if I've shared this, probably, I know that I've talked to Mia about it, I'm sure I've talked about this, so I'll just be quick about it. The Amazing Spider-Man. Nobody else liked The Amazing Spider-Man, and I thought it was the best Spider-Man movie. It still ranks very, very high on my list of Spider-Man movies. And everybody else was like, nah, that sucks. And I've described it as a very rare example of, like, my experience with it was so far removed from what everybody else's was that I almost feel like everyone was lying to me. Like, everybody got together and said, oh, shit. Oh, shit. This is... Christ. Sorry, there's a lot of people here. Yeah, see, there you go. Drienne says that their brother played New Blood and enjoyed it despite what everybody said. There's games or movies, like here's Training Day. Here's another thing that we were talking about in Tashir's stream. I'm going to get so spotted. I have not seen Training Day. And it's not like a refusal to see Training Day. It's just, it's never been on like any of the free like movie weekends that they'll do sometimes or whatever. But I've never heard anybody say a word against Training Day. I've never seen anybody that didn't enjoy it. So this person's getting a little bit too
Assholes.
curious. Shit. Okay, so the silencer ran out on that third shot.
You got it!
Oh, Jesus!
But just like, so, you know, just like you can have a, shit. Just, oh, I don't like this.
Don't let her escape!
Look alive!
Oh, no! Okay, I need to stop focusing on the infected that is chained up.
I got him!
Shit. Oh, boy. Okay, I need some medicine.
Here we go.
Look at that, by the way. Just the tiniest little sliver of medicine, of health that it didn't address. It was the perfect med kit. Oh, I see him up there. Yeah, I can't do anything about him. At least not that I know of, but... Let's try out one of these explosive arrows. Nope, that was too low. Okay, well, whether or not that killed them, they didn't like it very much. A chained clicker? What do they keep them around for? Just generic intimidation. Where I was going with that is, just like you know, there's probably somebody in the world that doesn't like Training Day. I've not met them, but there must be somebody that didn't enjoy the movie that much. There's going to be things that are, like, not very popular that somebody in the world likes. You know, as a random example, Mitch Reeves is a big fan of Batman versus Superman. You know, that wasn't a movie for me, but he really liked it. So I'm glad that it exists for that. I am not currently certain of who is seeing Ellie when she sticks her head up. Dren says, from their brother, I enjoyed it, but it definitely doesn't feel the same as the other games in the remake series, talking about the New Blood. It has some significant flaws, but I like what they were trying to do and thought the moment-to-moment gameplay was fun. Is it the infected that are seeing Ellie? Because I don't care if they see her. Oh! Yeah, that was dumb. So I was standing inside chain range. So as far as I can tell, it is the infected... Oh, nope. No, they got reinforcements. Take that back. Well, you know what? If they've got reinforcements, why don't I let the infected free? At least one at a time. You know, letting them all free doesn't seem like that's going to go well, because then I just have to kill them after they kill the guys. But at a minimum, maybe they take a couple bites out of the dudes with guns and make it that much easier. Oh, nuts. Look, lady, if you... No, okay. She's spooked. She's locked on Ellie now. We're imprinted. Oh, hello to Patikin! Patikin, I don't think that I had said hello. I didn't see you come in, but welcome. Yeah, I don't want to let that one free. That one's just going to be trouble. Now, the clickers... Okay, if we're quiet, we should be able to let them free. They're gonna go do their thing. Yep, just... Let's see if we can arrange a meeting of the minds. Really? Could have just done that. And I got a couple clickers to deal with. I really thought they'd be more excited to be able to go. Yeah, you know what? This is just going to end badly for me. So let's just put them out of my misery. Or get them going. Oh shit. Oh, friends to the end. Yeah, my best guess on the brick is that I did a good job of throwing it to a position where neither the guy nor the clickers heard it, so they didn't come together in the way that I'd been hoping.
West! It came from that direction!
Huh. Well, let me grab a new bottle. I am very aware of that machete, by the way. Yeah, let's get another Molotov in here. Telegram!
Don't.
Obviously saying that I've set a record on how long it took to say hello to him. Alright, so that looks good and chained up. Now, there's at least one infected left, so we may not get the... Look at that shot.
I found her!
Ah, crap.
Here!
Two bullets. I'm not liking this very much. Okay.
Look out! Over here!
Fuck me.
Pin her down!
Oh, no.
Over there! Pin her down!
I don't think that's how that's supposed to work. Wait! Why did that go off in my face? That's never happened before. Was it close enough to him that it detected him, but only hurt Ellie? Oh, no. Boy, this guy is really dedicated to his post.
Right over there!
Okay. He's got an arrow sticking out of him, and Ellie knows from experience that is no fun. He's going to have to R1 that out, and while he does it, we can get the drop on him. I really want that.
Shut it.
All right. I think before we leave, I'm going to go back and get that full machete. Although this is just a better version of the axe that I have. I really like the axe. The axe, as far as I can tell, is a one-shot, one-kill melee attack. The machete probably is too. Bottle. Oh, yeah, I need a new, what's it called? Silencer. So we'll get that done. I'm going to hold on to this for the time being. All right, let's go back and get the machete. I just feel like that's a good option. No one's used this yet. Grab some of this alcohol. No, for anybody else watching, like anybody that might be seeing this for the first time because they just aren't worried about spoilers, we've set... Oh, no, maybe it did kill this guy, because that is a hell of a blood spray. It also hurt Ellie a lot, and that was... We've laid down bombs before, and they do not detect Ellie, which is very handy. Ellie can sort of get past their detection radius. My thought was, let me lay down the trap, and then go a safe distance away and lure the guy into chasing her, and thus set off the trap. Okay, explosives. See, the reason I don't want to do these, even though, like, because it's still wasteful. And that doesn't take any explosives. And this is not... Well, no, it's going to craft 2 arrows. I'm going to leave this behind for now. Okay, with one bullet left in the... Yeah, okay, so a couple things. First of all, take the silencer off, at least for now. Secondly, I really want what's in that... Crap. Yep, no, she got me.
You're dead. Do you hear me?
Oh, hello to, Captain Dingus. Yes. So far, pretty good Rattler killing. Oh, I'm full on health. Well, now they don't have a vending machine either.
Stop now.
Good on that. Good on that. Yeah. Yeah, okay. The only thing I'm now missing is a bottle or a brick. I would really like to have one on me at pretty much all times. Let me make sure that we... Nope. What was this? No, no, I don't want that. And... I'm just doing a quick circle for a bottle or brick, because, as we've seen, it's very, very handy to stun or distract one enemy, so we'll get another one, or just render one enemy real good for killing. I think the sun is going down, too. That's a nice touch. I just bet I can Division Force this and just shoot that lock off. Oh, yeah. There we go. All right. Now I'm bottled up. I'm going to say that the inside of this area is not... Well, then again, the other thing I have is a long-range rifle. Let's at least get some bullets into it. I don't really feel like the bow is going to be a great choice in this interior space. Now, they sent out a couple sentries. We took them out quietly, which means that the people that are up here don't know that their friends aren't going to be coming back upstairs. So it's time for me to get quiet, too. I wonder if there exists, like, an all-stealth run of this game. Like, obviously there's going to be some sections where you can't stealth by design, but for the sections like this, where theoretically you could, like, navigate through here and just, like, Agent 47 everybody to death, and nobody ever knows their friend is dead until they're joining them in the afterlife. That would be pretty damn impressive, because this is a tight combat system. I don't see any benefit to going in there. I do see the benefit to all this stuff. Yes, please. And that's my bat. So, we're up on the second floor of this compound. We can't go anywhere from here that I see, unless we're supposed to jump over this. Well, maybe. What's in here? Did I go in here? I know what's over to our left. Yeah, it's just all the space that we just were. Nothing else over here, though. So, Sam saying that I got a new gun and have been ignoring it. Oh, is that the, Oh, yeah, that would have been a good choice for in here. I did forget about that. Fired it a couple times. Seems okay.
What the hell's going on here? We're under attack! Come on, let's go!
I feel like they're never going to encounter that bomb. Let's just try to remember to go get the bomb later, then.
We got a
the table!
He's running!
Okay, but I don't want to be here if that bomb goes off, so that is going to protect our flank for now.
Shit! Fucking ambush!
Thought she was more down than that.
All right.
Well, that worked.
Got her!
Crap.
Keep her in check! Keep up the pressure! Done!
Okay, I don't want any more Molotovs right now.
I know you're out there!
Oh, shit. Nope, that's just me missing a bunch. Okay, let's take this opportunity to upgrade this machete. Yeah.
Where are these fucking prisoners?
Because I only get one more hit with it, and an upgraded machete I think is better than any of the other weapons that we see around right now. I don't want to swap to that, but I... Nope! No, where's my upgraded machete? Sam Linder was saying nice bomb placement. Yeah, I really thought that that one wasn't going to go anywhere, but I figured, you know what? We'll just leave it out, and if we get lucky... And we just had a really fun camera angle of that guy deciding he was going to go take cover and not making it. Okay. There's got to be something now. Yep. So many explosives are lying around. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to make use of those bombs. Every guy that gets turned into a splatter is a bullet that I don't have to recoup from someplace else. Are these ping pong paddles? And why is there blood on the ping pong paddle storage table? Oh, that is a ping pong table. Okay, I wasn't recognizing that this was a long table with a ping pong net in the middle of it. Patikin is going to go lurk. Patikin, have a great evening. So we're recording this on the day of, like, the daylight savings time move, which means that last night all the clocks jumped ahead, and it screwed me up good. Because it was, like, this morning, and I was hanging out, and the question was asked, hey, aren't you going to go to the store right when they open, so it's not, like, a line of 1 million people, and it's not packed? It was like, yeah, but they don't open, they don't open for another hour. Whoops. So this is just me going backwards now, I think. Yes, this is the way that we entered. So I've basically been running about an hour late to everything because it's like nothing... We need to abolish daylight savings time is the point I'm getting at. This is a ritual and a societal... like curse that I I just don't get it. I don't get who it benefits. I don't know who is the advocate for this. I don't know if anybody. Maybe it's just the area of the country that we live in. I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, thank God, daylight savings time. Now I get to methodically walk around and change every single clock in the entire world, except for the ones that auto update. So then I have to check those just to be sure." Hold on a second. Sam Landers felt like hammered shit all day. Null says, let's stick to a time schedule. And like anytime anybody's ever explained it to me, like, why even is this a thing? It is this. Okay, there's gotta be a way to get in here. It's not actually shoot the lock, is it? I'm going to shoot this lock. I don't think it's going to work. No. I might have missed because my aim is bad, but boy, it really looks like there's going to be... Look at this giant space back here. I don't see anything to get, but... Maybe the point is that Abby's not in there. Like, it's a jail cell, but we don't see Abby in there. Maybe that's why it's there. Also, we don't see anything back here. What is... Okay. Daylight savings time. Like, the reasons that it even exists are so weird and archaic about, like... You know, kids of farmers and when they can be on the farm to help the family and stuff. And, okay, then I guess maybe the states where... Like, if we can have 50 separate voting systems and 50 separate justice systems and 50 separate healthcare systems, why the hell can't we divvy up which states need to have daylight savings time versus which don't? I am not yet seeing where to go, just so everybody knows. We closed the door coming into this area. We barred it. So we've got a very small area in which to explore. I can't imagine that you melee this lock open. Nope. There's no way up and over. Maybe I have to shoot the lock. Is that... Did I miss the lock on my first attempt? Let's look carefully. So there's nothing up to climb to. There's nothing down low like a crawl through space. Nothing over here. And I mean it all. This is just a complete dead end. Oh, wait, there we go.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, where's Abby?
She's bit!
Keep back.
Hey, don't put that fucking thing in me!
Hey. Abby tried to escape. She's down in the pillars.
The pillars?
Head down to the beach. You won't miss it. She's probably already dead. Come on.
Yeah, she's not moving so good right now. Also, I didn't call it out, but it did not escape my attention that Dog the Rattler Hunter back there earlier in this episode said that they picked up an Abby a few months ago. I didn't realize up until then that there had been that kind of a time gap between the scenes that we saw.
Abby?
Oh. Oh, I honestly did not see her.
Please. It's you. Abby. I got you. I got you. They're both this way. I can't let you leave. I'm not doing this. No. I'm not gonna fight you. Yes, you will. not a part of this. You made him a part of this. Okay. Okay. Bro. Just take him.
while we look around, I'll just say that I don't feel good. Like, physically. Well, so the fact that everything's cleaned out means that they didn't leave in an emergency. I mean, there's still stuff like folded up on the bed and so forth. I mean, this place was cleaned and moved out of, which is not as bad a sign as it could be.
What are you drinking?
Coffee.
Where'd you get that?
Those people that came through last week.
Oh.
A little embarrassed as to what I had to trade to get it, but it's not bad.
I had Seth under control.
Yeah, I know.
And you need to stop harassing Jesse about my patrols.
Okay. Dina. Is she your girlfriend?
No. No, that was just one kiss. It doesn't mean anything. She just, I don't know why she did that.
But you do like her.
So stupid.
I have no idea what that girl's intentions are, but I do know that she would be lucky to have you.
You're such an asshole.
I'm not trying to.
I was supposed to die in that hospital. My life would have fucking mattered. But you took that from me.
If somehow the Lord gave me a second chance at that moment, I would do it all over again.
I don't think I can ever forgive you for that. But I would like to try.
I'd like that.
Okay. I'll see you around.
Yep.
So this looks like closing credits. I just want to be sure because there's been multiple moments when I thought that the game might have ended and then it kept going, which I don't say in a negative way. It's just the story is much more expansive than I expected. How is if the volume needs to be adjusted at all over the music? Let me know. So there were some questions that came up in chat. Hello to Bryce X, who sort of joined in the middle of a lot of story there, and I didn't want to interrupt it, but was asking like, what's the deal with the baby? The baby's name is JJ. As far as we know, based on all of the information that we have at our disposal, AJ was the, I think, son of Dina and Jesse. And that Dina had gotten pregnant somewhat before she started a relationship with Ellie. I am, immediate takeaways. That fight scene in the surf was, I don't know if that was a lake, I assume it was the ocean, was, have you ever seen the movie The Road? It was so bleak and desperate and violent that I felt physically ill doing it. And maybe that's what people are so on the fence about with this game, where even the people that don't have these weird hang-ups about Abby or whatever talk about, like, what a challenging game it is to make it through, because, boy, do you not feel good at the end. So, one thing that I've been thinking a lot about as we've gone through the game is what is it about? What's the purpose of all of this? It's not just like stuff that happens, right? And I feel like where The Last of Us 1 was about what lengths are people willing to go to avoid dealing with grief, and how dangerous that can be if they realize they can never deal with it and they never get over it. And like, we get a lot of hints about what Joel was up to in the interceding 20 years, and then when faced with the prospect of losing Ellie, he proceeds to murder an entire hospital full of well-meaning people who indeed were working for the benefit of everyone in the world. And Joel can't deal with grief. He feels very strongly and doesn't have a lot of ways to express that. And he never got over the loss of his daughter, and he knew he would never be able to get over the loss of Ellie. Not ever, not for any reason. And I can empathize with that. I mean, I really can. Well, sympathize, I guess, because it's not something that I've actually been through. This game, I feel like, was about the capacity of people to do things that they can't ever take back. Because we see that as a theme that runs again and again and again. Joel is guilty of murdering Abby's father, and she can't let it go. Not ever. Just like he couldn't let go of what had happened to his daughter. So she moves heaven and earth to track down a guy named Joel Miller that doesn't seem like, you know, that's gonna stand out in the phone book anywhere. And she finds this guy, and she leads a team to go get him, and she gets him. And the way that she meets him, of them running from a horde, her working closely with Joel and Tommy to survive that encounter just for a few minutes, and the fact that that in no way adjusts her plan, because she has spent years training for this encounter, and by God, she's going to see it through. And the fact that what we learn from that is, and we've talked about this as we've gone, this brought her no peace. It didn't make it better. It didn't, you know, it's so trite to say it didn't bring her father back, but it didn't make her feel better about anything. She had accomplished her goal, but her life went on, and now she had to deal with the aftermath of it, which was the violence of it. I don't know that she ever felt bad that Joel was dead. I do feel like she felt very guilty about her role in it, and the violence that she had inflicted upon him that she felt at the time was so justified. And she realized through the dream sequences that we've talked about that the one way to get past it was to now try to save someone's life, to try to do good for people, to look beyond the scope of her own suffering and to try to make something better for someone else. And that's ultimately what led her to leave the wolves and risk everything for Yara and Lev. And Abby pulled herself out of this situation in a way that I think that now we've seen that Ellie was only just very narrowly at the end able to do, and only after herself losing so much. Dina and JJ didn't run from the house. They weren't overthrown by a horde. The place wasn't looted. It was tidied up, broom swept, and left door ajar, presumably in the event that Ellie ever came back. But Dina left all of Ellie's stuff. She left it behind because she's done. Did she go back to Jackson? Maybe. But as far as we know, Dina doesn't have anybody there. I mean, she might. She seemed fairly popular at the dance. Ellie made that comment that everybody was looking at her, but Dina kind of seemed done with the whole thing. And it wouldn't surprise me. You know, she was very capable. If she just packed up JJ rather, and went... I don't know why I would think of the name AJ. I don't know where that would come from. That she packed up JJ and just left. And she, whatever she might have taken of Ellie's, she left the majority of it behind in case Ellie ever came back, but also because she didn't have any use for it. She didn't think that she'd ever see Ellie again. So I saw Bryce say that Ellie wasted her time and her travel. I don't know that that was wasted, in that she... it might be going too far to say that she found peace at the end, but she came to terms with what had happened. And maybe through that can see her way clear to setting aside this vendetta. I mean, she literally sets aside the vendetta, but not having it haunt her quite as sharply, not feeling like she should have done more. But on the theme of like people doing things that they can't ever get past, that like you can't make up for, that's where Joel was after the hospital. That's where Abby was after killing Joel. And that's where Ellie was after killing everybody that Abby knew, and it still wasn't enough. And the fact that Abby had to forgive her twice. I mean, like, it's a really good story, you guys. Wasted. Ellie wasted her life with her family. I mean, I gotta go look at chat, but that's what got wasted. The travel and the effort and the injuries and the fingers, that seemed to be what Ellie needed to do in order to learn the lesson and find some peace. But god damn it, you wanted her to not have to do that. You wanted her to stay there on those, like, golden fields and stay with JJ. That's going to keep happening, by the way. Stay with JJ and Dina. And I know there was a lot happening under the surface, but boy, they were so happy, weren't they? They were so happy. And she just couldn't let it go. And you got to wonder, if Tommy didn't come around that day, would Abby have found a way to get through it? Is it Tommy's responsibility that sent her off there? And I would sort of argue no, because it was still Abby's choice. So again, Abby, Ellie, it was still Ellie's choice to go. Tommy yelled at her, but the guilt came from inside Ellie, and it feels a lot like she's lost everything at the end of that, because she came home to an empty house and no family and no sheep. And sometimes you do things that you can't make up for, no matter what your intentions are. One final thought before I go back and read chat. And by the way, this is it. This is the time. This is the time right now. Anything we want to talk about, any Easter eggs, any things that, you know, you've always been itching to say, have at it, because after this stream, we don't ever get to talk about it again. Not in this detail, not live. So, anything that we want to cover, let's do it now. And one thing that immediately comes to mind, so there's a couple things that I wanted to go over. Number one, I am in my own way very relieved that "I don't need your fucking help, Joel" wasn't the last thing that Ellie said to him. It felt like it was, as of the last episode. And I did phrase it as it seems like that's the last thing that she ever said to him. Thank goodness it wasn't. In some ways, I can understand that it would make it harder that she parted with Joel on the feeling that maybe we can make up for this. I would love to listen to this nice song with the lyrics, but so Null is saying that the music is a touch loud. I can try to... I don't know if I can notch it down very easily, but let's try. Probably by notching that down some. Hopefully that took it down a little bit.
No toil nor danger.
What was I going to say? One of the things that I thought might have been motivating Ellie was the fact that the last thing that she had ever said to Joel was so hateful and dismissive, and that it was not the way that she felt. And we've all done that. We've all said things that we didn't mean. So Tashir is taking off. Tashir, have a great night. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I did see that you were handling some moderator stuff, I think mostly in the previous episode, but thank you very, very much for that as well. And what an accomplishment! Big ups to all of our moderators, Tashir, Drienne, More Than Amia, Patikin, for standing vigil over the chat. It was a long road to get to the end of this game without any spoilers. I will say that one person almost slipped something through the net during the first game, but as soon as I realized that their intentions was sort of sinister, I didn't read very much into it, so I feel like we can say pretty conclusively that this was a spoiler-free playthrough, and thank you very much to all of the moderators for making that happen. We really genuinely appreciate it.
Their vigils keep.
By the way, I feel like this is Ashley Johnson singing, but I've got it dialed down very low in my headphones, so I'm not sure.
I'm going there.
In some ways, though, it would be worse. It would be worse to have had that conversation and feel like there is forgiveness on the table, feel like you can work your way back from it. Set up that movie night that we heard about way, way back at the very beginning, that like we can start to reconnect, but never get to deliver on that. That if not redemption, if not forgiveness, then at least a reconstruction or the path towards it is available, and that Ellie didn't get to execute on that. I am reminded, if I can talk sort of obliquely around like one of the X-Men movies, there's one line that really rang with me when at one point Magneto addresses Charles Xavier and says, all of those years wasted, all of that time. And okay, so now we're getting some I think Joel singing, but okay, so people are still saying that the music is very high. Let's see if we can. Amia is saying that specifically. Let's see if we can. I'm going to dial it down by about half. We don't have the access to the same tools that we would on when streaming from the PC, is all. I'm going there. Okay, so people, is this better? I've dialed it down by about half. If we want to make further adjustments, that would be easy to do. I feel bad that we don't get to listen to... Okay, so apparently to Samlander, we are not addressing the sound to them. If you have further ideas, I will adhere to it. Let's see if we can dial this down as well. Okay, does that make any difference? So I use a different volume slider there. How fun that the one thing that is way, way too loud... Oh, the other thing I could do is turn our mic up. Is this still too loud with the music? We'll give it a second. We'll give chat a second to catch up. Otherwise, my options are to simply shut up until Joel stops singing, but... Yeah, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of options here. So what I'm doing is going into the sound... let's just let it run here for a second. Maybe it will... Mia's saying that the sound has not changed at all. Oh, no! Because, yeah, in my headphones, this is basically subphonic. I don't even know if the music has ended. It feels like it has. Mia's saying change it in OBS. The issue is we're not streaming from OBS. This is a live broadcast directly from the PlayStation 5. So regrettably, there's no OBS involved. Well, I'm going to turn all this back up. Null's also saying that I could just pause it. Well, the music has wrapped up. Play through the game again with all the upgrades and equipment obtained from a previous playthrough. Understood. And now we got a different title screen taking place slightly outside the Rattler compound. Hopefully this is no longer too loud. Just sort of the sound of the ocean. Okay. Yeah, how much fun that not the Rattler compound, with the large circular building. Huh. Then I have no idea what that is. Is that... It's not the Natural History Museum. I wouldn't think. Because it's on the coast, and they were not on the coast. That's Catalina. Okay. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, the point that I was working on was just that it was a big relief to me that I like the fact that Ellie did get a chance to talk to Joel and to take down how harshly that she had spoken to him at the party, but in a way that would make it worse because she is now denied the opportunity to sort of make up with him and if not forgive him, then build a brand new relationship with him. So that's sort of what I was thinking of there. When it comes to... Oh, nuts. There was one other thing, and then I got distracted by all the volume talk. I kind of feel like it was, in a weird way, like a call forward or foreshadowing. I got really distracted by a comment that Manny made during like the very early part of the Let's Play as Abby sequence, when he was talking to somebody in the hospital about losing some fingers, and he said, well, all you really need is 3 fingers. And I just wanted to like that was a very distracting comment because my head was nowhere near where his was on that. But it's also a little bit difficult not to feel like that was foreshadowing, because what an oddly specific thing to say about someone who is not Ellie in a game that then ends with Ellie only having 3 fingers. Somebody else in chat pointed out that in another sense that the fingers represent the loss of Dina and JJ. Dina and JJ, and by function Joel, because she can now no longer play the guitar properly, which was the last thing that he had left her, that skill set, the thing that they had worked on together, that now she can't exercise that aspect of art that he had imparted upon her. And that's yet another loss. It will be a constant reminder for the rest of her life about what that journey cost her. And the fact that in the end she chose to walk away from it. Now, I've talked a lot about Ellie, and sort of a little bit about Abby at the very beginning, but Abby's relationship with Lev, and to a lesser extent Yara, was fantastic. This is a comment that I made, I think, in an earlier episode. Abby is introduced as the friends of reasonable, normal-seeming people, with Owen talking about how Mel is pregnant. That was a line that really hung with me for a long portion of the game. But at first, in that very first sequence as Abby, when she's going to go off on her own because she thinks she knows where the patrols are meeting, and she's going to go there and sort of infiltrate all by herself, and then that gets her on the wrong side of a horde. She struck me at first as being reckless and impulsive, and I guess that she was putting herself at risk as opposed to others, but she didn't seem... like, rational isn't quite the right thing, but she didn't seem reasonable, I guess, where everybody else was like, hey, let's just wait until this big storm passes or whatever, but Abby needed to go see right now. And I thought to myself, this is not a very safe person to hang around. Like, I don't really know how I feel about this Abby person, and was sort of thinking, oh, this will be the big fake out. Like, we think that this is like another group of survivors, but they're actually going to be set up as the main villains. After what happened to Joel, they needed to do something to humanize her again. And they did that in a few different ways. First of all, by revealing a lot more about Owen. We spent a lot of time talking about Owen specifically. That guy sucks. Janet's saying that Ellie will just have to learn to play as a lefty. Can you do you need a different guitar for that? This is an actual question. I don't know very much about playing the guitar. Do they have to like build the body of the guitar opposite ways so that it rests successfully or not? I actually don't know. Like I feel like I've said over a few episodes everything that I have to say about Owen, except for it remains vague to me, and this is probably an intentional point of ambiguity. What was the nature of the separation between Owen and Abby? Because they seem like two characters that still feel very strongly for one another, but where Abby is ultimately content to not be with Owen, Owen seems to exercise multiple different psychological ploys to make Abby jealous, to get her attention, to cajole or creep or try to get her back. And that does not mean to me that she dumped him. I continue to allow for the possibility that Owen was the one who tried to lay down an ultimatum to Abby, and Abby said, no, I'm not going to sacrifice my goals for you, and wound up, like there was a breakup that occurred, but it was one of those mutual breakups because one person is just quote-unquote into other stuff. And in this case, the other person was Owen, and the thing that he was into was making Abby give up what she wanted to do so that she could just sort of hang out at the aquarium with him and get stoned or whatever his hot plan was. So I don't know that that's what it was. It did seem like it was an interesting narrative choice that the two of them were so clearly, there was still clearly something there between them. There was a lot of emotions between them, but where Owen was willing to act on it to the point of cheating on his girlfriend, his pregnant girlfriend with Abby, Abby acquiesced once, felt very bad about it, and then wanted... I don't know if we can say that she wanted nothing to do with Owen. It did feel like she was ready to go. Like she decided to go down to California on her own. So maybe she would have decided to go with Mel and Owen, even if Mel said, don't. If you go, I won't go. I guess Abby could have just gone with Lev on her own. But regardless, that was her relationship with Owen that established that Abby was a real person with personal connections among the people that she worked with, a former romantic partner, respect, if not quite as much as I would have liked to seen, but respect for Owen's new girlfriend that she didn't want to, like, get in between them, even though she still seemed to, like, have a thing for Owen. She did, which wasn't great judgment, but as Mia would say, people aren't characters. They're complicated, and their choices don't always make sense, and Abby, like here, let's also look into her psychological point of view. We didn't realize it in the moment, but the dream that she had immediately afterwards betrayed the fact that she was still feeling extremely bad about what she had done in Jackson. So taking a few moments of pleasure to get away from, like, the thoughts that were haunting her. One of the things that was interesting about Abby is that she doesn't really confide in anybody. We're sort of piecing together what we can from her about her psychological situation based on what we see of her dreams and a few off comments that she makes to people. So we have to sort of like put it together because she never really talks to anybody about it, and that's in line with her character. And I don't 100% remember where I was going with that, but we're having this level of conversation about a character that at first was just a ruthless, blindly violent murderer. And the degree to which they were able to bring her back and humanize her through everything that we've talked about. And then the relationship with Lev, a character who was a member of a religious sect who got chased away and persecuted and was going to be, as far as I could tell, was going to be killed for the crime of cutting his hair and saying, I don't want to be married to one of the elders. I want to be a soldier, and let's say it outright. And I hope that I use the proper terminology here. But Lev is trans, and that is not something that society was willing to accept. So Lev was ready to bolt. But then Lev went back to get his mother, thought his mother could be saved, desperately wanted his mother to accept him for who he is, and that wound up costing Yara her life. And it's such a story about loss. I mean, that's another thing where you can do things in life that you can't ever take back. The decision that Lev has to live with after this is that decision to go back to the island. It seemed like he was dealing with it, like they were, he and Abby were traveling, and Lev didn't seem particularly withdrawn, but we don't know what some of his darker moments were like. That's a lot to carry with you, is what I'm saying. It's easy to pull that guilt inside of you, and can be very, very difficult to let it go. And I don't feel like Lev has anything to feel guilty about his mom. I think that he had all the best intentions and wanted to save her and wanted her to snap out of this religious fervor that she was in, and she just wouldn't accept him and wouldn't leave. And what happened is on Lev's mom. But what happened to Yara, that's harder to work around. And all of these things made me like Abby more, feel more in tune with her character. Like, another thing about this is that we saw The Last of Us 1 entirely from Joel's perspective, with a few sections in the, here and there from Ellie's perspective. This game, we got a complete reverse angle on an entirely different side of the story, and I find it absurd that people played this and did not identify with Abby to the point where they were angry about having to have played her. They didn't want to... Brienne was saying that they don't want to have the fight in the basement. Like, yeah, man, I don't want to have that fight in the basement, but unfortunately, like, Abby failed her diplomacy check. Like, we're not going to talk this out. This is where this story was gonna go, and I don't want to see Abby take Dina's face and smash it into the floor 4 times. I don't want to see Abby choke Ellie to death. I don't want to see her punch Abby in the face and, like, break her nose and all of the other horrible violence that was happening there. But to not have that would have been a betrayal of everything that these characters stand for. And we talked about it at the time. Lev was the one that got Abby snapped out of that rage, and she says, if I don't ever want to see you again, don't ever let me see you again. And she fucking walked out. And that had to be the hardest thing that she's ever done in her life. Harder than tracking Joel, harder than killing Joel, harder than dealing with the death of Joel, because she was so angry because Ellie had killed everyone she knows. Everyone. Technically, Tommy killed Manny, but the point is that vendetta cost Abby everyone left in the world that she cared about, because she'd turned her back on the wolves and the wolves had turned their backs on her. And this was her crew, and they were all gone because of this girl lying broken and bloody on the floor. And Abby turned her back and she walked out. And that was the point at which I feel like I knew that she had completely pulled into herself all of the lessons that she was meant to learn from that point. And the fact that Ellie doesn't get that she has that second chance at a happy life, and she still can't take it. Because she knows in the abstract what this has cost Abby, but she's still too wrapped up in her own pain. She understands intellectually that Abby lost everybody that was on those Polaroids, but they were just names on a list. That was just a hit list. She was just working her way through her No More Heroes style, like, hitman list that she's got to get to be the big boss. This is a flippant way to talk about it, but like I said it at the time, She went on that trip. She got away with it. She walked away with a girlfriend and a baby and a happy life on a farm, and it still wasn't enough. And when it's not enough, she went back and she tried to make... I don't think she wanted to make Tommy happy, but that's where that stands. So let me roll back through... Anyway, what I wanted to say, like my summation there is just the ability of this game to introduce a brand new protagonist that we don't know from the first game, one that commits this act of barbarism against, like, a character that I had grown very attached to, and by the end of the story, Abby's the good guy in the equation. That is an amazing feat of writing, and it's an amazing feat of performance, and I'll say this one last time, hopefully ever. What the fuck with people going after the voice actors in this game? Because the fact that they felt so strongly, the fact that we can have these conversations is a testament to the quality of their work and the quality of their writing. And for people to be so small-minded that the only thing that they wanted was another cross-country trip with Joel and Ellie where they just, like, barreled through a bunch of enemies and killed them, and it was just gory good times. I don't know. I don't have any idea what they might have been looking for. What a bizarre, wrong-headed, backwards way of approaching this or any media. Anyway, so let me roll back and read through some of chat, because I've touched on a lot of things and there might be agreements or disagreements, and like I said, this is the chance. This is when we get to talk about this stuff. Rolling back. So this is while the gameplay was still going. Bryce was saying that they'd seen the game on YouTube. I'll forget by the time I make it here. Bryce thinks that Dina and Ellie are good together. Very much agreed, as Samalander did. Winds of the Weird had said... maybe just pistol whip the surgeon. I hope that wasn't an option. I guess it wouldn't, because then this game wouldn't exist. But pardon me, have to say I didn't actually try that. Samler said that revenge is pointless and wrong. That is absolutely the stance that this game takes. It's not a dish best served cold. It's best served not at all. And that's... it doesn't always feel like the right thing, because people deserve to pay for the crimes that they've committed. But in the end, the quest costs a lot more than the original crime, I guess, is the point of it. Drin was saying no announcements about a follow-up game. I very much like I would have said at the end of the first game, I would be okay if they didn't do another one. I feel like this is a fairly complete tale. Let's see here. Yeah, so then there's a lot of volume trouble. Yeah, so just to sort of circle back to that, were we streaming from the PC, I would have gone over to the OBS and dialed that way down. We were unable to get this game streaming from the PC, as we had with Ghost of Tsushima and Judgment and some others. So as a result, we have to use the tools that are built in the PlayStation. It turns out they are... but the option in front of me would have been to bring the microphone up, and I would prefer to try to keep the volume settings as stable as possible. It will be something to note for next time. Drin says the rage against this game is all about hating Abby, hating what happened to Joel, hating that they have to play as her, hating having to fight Ellie as her, then hating that Ellie didn't kill her, or that she didn't suffer long enough. Yeah, so I saw that comment as well, that Abby didn't suffer enough. Somebody said that was a complaint about this game, that people have leveraged against it. What would be enough? What would be enough suffering for the young woman that risked her life to save Lev and Yara, and would have for Manny or Owen or any of the others? What is enough suffering for her, if not being captured by the Rattlers and strung up on that post to die of exposure and dehydration after months of brutal mistreatment. What's the level of suffering that she needs to have, except for all of the knife wounds to her arms and the deep stab wound that goes all the way through one of her shoulders? How much suffering are we expected to inflict upon her? It's like, this is something that's come up on the last couple streams, and it's just it's still difficult for me to. I believe you, Drienne, and others when that's where it's coming from, because that's how childish certain game players are, and I just can't. It's a very foreign idea to me because of how well done this is. Then Drienne says it's like Naughty Dog expected their players to be thinking people with some level of empathy, but shouldn't have. I would hope that the people that were doing that were in a very, very small minority. So just the fact that exceedingly stupid people don't get it would hopefully not dissuade Naughty Dog or other companies from having that level of trust in their players. Like, I hear Disco Elysium is pretty good. I'd like to check that out. Hopefully that has some cool writing as well. And I take your point, Drienne. It's just I would hate for the lesson from this for other developers to be, well, we'd better make our stories as stupid and predictable, as dull and predictable as possible, because otherwise very dreary people will be upset about it. Samlin says, I'm honestly unsure if I could play this game. There are too many scenes with gameplay that had me crying or nearly so. It is a very, very emotional journey. I'm not joking or exaggerating when I say that I felt physically sick after that fight in the surf, because much like when I thought that Ellie was being choked to death while I was pressing square, I felt that Abby was being drowned. I thought that was it. I thought that was it. And I did not want to see her lifeless body floating in that surf. Drienne says, realistically, Abby hunted down a known mass murderer and killed him. Yeah, from her perspective, for sure. The fact that renowned mass murderer had gone on to live a good and quiet, decent life of protecting a community would be lost on her, because what does it matter to her? Her father is still dead, as is every other Firefly that he killed. And as Drienne says, she didn't kill anybody else to do it. She let everybody go. Multiple times is another thing about it. Like, I feel like if the fans who were so upset at Abby had gotten their wish and she was an irredeemable psycho killer, then Ellie wouldn't have survived that encounter in the ski lodge or whatever it was. And then we wouldn't have had very much of a game. We met Abby at the completion of what would have been the hero's journey if viewed from the other side. Very true. Wins says, contrary to the game's detractors, Abby shows remorse in several places, but in the way that real people do, not characters. There are no grand speeches. She gets defensive when she talks about it with Manny and Mel, and attacks Owen when he throws it in her face. Yeah, Owen sucks. It's emotionally messy, complicated, and very, very human. Right. Abby feels a lot to me like a version of Joel who is able to deal with her grief in a very specific and targeted way, and when the action that she takes doesn't yield the inner peace that she was looking for, rather than lashing out further, she sets a new course for herself. And in that way, we've done a lot of comparisons between Ellie and Abby, but I feel like there's a lot of comparison between Abby and Joel. Two people that lost a family member in an act of what feels like completely senseless violence, and spend a long time trying to find a way to deal with that. Has Abby dealt with her grief over her father in the interceding 4 years? I don't know. It didn't seem that way when she was beating Joel to death nice and slow with a golf club, but I feel like that resolution does come for her over the course of the game. I'm not using Hapt. I'm not sure how to pronounce this. Thought that JJ might be Joel and Jesse, but yeah, Jesse Jr. would have been my thought about that. Tommy was wrong and Ellie was wrong. They can both be wrong. Is something that Sam Lander had said. Yeah, it is. it's a point of interest to me that, like, let's acknowledge, I don't know that there's a lot to talk about, but Tommy was the one who went to Ellie while they were in Seattle and said, enough. This is enough. We have to go now. We've done what we could do. It's time to go. And Ellie says, so she just gets to live. And Tommy says, yes, it's time to go. And yet, after the wounds that he suffers at the hands of Abby, then, like, we don't get to see any scenes between him and Maria, but he's the one who comes to her and says, we got to go back. Like, he does the jack of it. Like, we got to go back. This story isn't done. Whether or not that's the result of his... It feels like it's the result of his injuries and his suffering that he can't, like... He was willing to set aside the quest up until it cost him the mobility in his leg and what appears to be his eye. And at that point, it was like, what was it all for? Now we have to see it through to completion, and he can no longer give it up. That's my read on that. Mavruli says, Ellie made so many wrong choices, and I absolutely hated it, but I also have some understanding for where she was coming from. She was so driven by trauma, you almost can't blame her. It's hard to heal from trauma when you're constantly in survival mode in this world, so she never did. True. I don't know that I can say it better than that. Here's the thing. I get mad at characters when they make decisions that are obviously at odds with the information that they have at their disposal, or their decisions don't make any sense based on what we know about the characters. Like, sometimes things that feel like a plot hole actually turn out to be twists when we discover that there's more to this story than we've been led to believe. And those are some fun narratives that I tend to enjoy. Here, I can't think of any examples where I looked at it and said, wait a second, that character would never do that. That doesn't make any sense. And how great it is to be involved in a very sophisticated, sophisticated in terms of its storyline, its timelines, this kind of story where it feels like everything makes sense at the end. And I feel comfortable with the decisions that they made. Like, not comfortable, but at least I understand where they're coming from all sides. Null saying people are making big assumptions about Ellie and Dina's relationship in the last scene. And then noting that the music is too loud. So, by last scene, assuming that we mean that, like in the farmhouse. And by the way, the window that we end on looked to me a lot like the window that you see in the title sequence of the first game. I cannot imagine that that is a coincidence, with the major exception of I don't think there was a guitar leaning up against that window. But it seemed very evocative of that scene. And in terms of the big assumptions, I guess I'm piecing together the evidence that we have that it is. I didn't see Dina's departure from the house as maintaining this house and property on my lonesome is not worthwhile, so I'm going to go back to town. It felt very specifically like a departure from Ellie and the life that they had together. I'm not saying that it can't be a little bit of both, but clearing out the house is one thing. Leaving Ellie's room untouched with all of her stuff exactly where she left it, that feels like a deliberate, like, goodbye. And we can make all sorts of arguments about, like, she had to travel light and, you know, what's she going to do with it. But she had no interest in keeping it safe. She had no interest in keeping it with her. She didn't want to put up those pictures, those drawings. She didn't want to have the guitar around to remind her of happier times with Ellie. She didn't want any of those reminders. She left them behind in an open house to be consumed by nature, assuming that Ellie never came back. She also left no letter. That's what I was looking for. You notice that when I went into the farmhouse, the first place that I went was the kitchen. I thought, if there's a letter, if there's a note, some sort of forwarding address, that's where it's going to be. There was nothing. Dina left no sense of where Ellie could come and find her. You could say that maybe Dina assumed that Ellie wouldn't be back, but Ellie's pretty good at what she does. that would be a fear, a legitimate concern. But to not leave anything in the hopes that Ellie came back indicates to me that Dina was not interested in seeing Ellie again. That's the way that I read it. And where we go. So then lots more volume troubles. And Mia was asking, isn't that the aquarium? Oh, that could be the building there in the background. Is it? I thought the aquarium was near a big Ferris wheel. But this is on the coast, and that was way up in Seattle. They couldn't have taken the boat all the way up the coast. I don't know. That's a good question. Carol Luna says, the problem for me was mainly the lyrics. It was so difficult to separate the lyrics from me. Yeah, so sorry about the volume. And then playing guitar as a lefty. Sam Luna says, ugh, Owen. Mavruli says, I'm right-handed but have nerve damage in my pinky and ring fingers on my left hand. Can't feel them. So they played the guitar on the lefty. It's totally viable. Okay, I didn't know if you had to... So first of all, it hadn't occurred to me that you could flip it around. I guess it would be a new skill set to learn and probably as challenging, if not a lot more so, than learning to write with a hand. But I didn't know if they made like special lefty guitars where the shape of the body is contoured to make that more comfortable. It's like, I don't know. I'm really saying you can just restring it upside down and basically be the same. That's good to know. You can just try string it differently, people are saying. Okay. Abby wasn't emotionally available. Owen settled for someone he knew well but didn't love and wound up fucking everybody over. That feels similar to what I'm going for, where Abby was so dedicated to her quest that she wasn't going to commit to Owen in the way that Owen wanted or felt like he deserved. And look, you are allowed to say, like, here's what I'm looking for in a relationship that will make me happy, and this isn't necessarily meeting those criteria. Trying to guilt trip or force someone to change to be more in accordance, that's... Like, you can work on a relationship, but the way that Owen wanted to work in the relationship was for Abby, this is my read on it, was for Abby to give up what she wanted to do. And that's not coming out of nowhere. That was his, like, hey, let's just sort of hang out at the aquarium. And Abby was like, but we could also go train with the soldiers. Like, I want to go do that instead. Is Abby a dedicated soldier just for the sake of it? Maybe, but it sure as shit felt like she was 100% towards killing Joel. And it's not that she got less dedicated to her job afterwards. It's just the job felt like it probably started as a means to an end. And then once that end was accomplished, she was sort of willing to continue going on momentum until, of course, everything blew up, and then she was very ready to leave the wolves. In other words, she was a wolf as long as it was pertinent to what she wanted to do. She remained a wolf because it was what she knew, but it was clearly not so much a part of her identity that she wept any tears when Isaac got shot. Searcha, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, says Abby was never over Owen. That was my take of it as well. And Null is saying that they weren't over each other. It felt like there was a lot going on between them. Someone is saying, I don't think you ever stopped loving someone. That said, Owen was a douche and Abby was wrong to cheat with him. Agreed on both counts. Owen was more wrong, because Owen is the one in the committed relationship, and it's not Abby's responsibility to safeguard somebody else's fidelity. That said, I would have preferred it for a number of reasons for Abby to not engage with Owen and to punch him very hard, and then maybe he would stop. Dren says, I think Owen's story from his perspective is that he's in love with her, they should be together, but he couldn't handle her driving obsession being the most important thing in her life. He most likely ended it with her because of that, and then tried to move on with Mel, which was clearly unfair to Mel, but he still believes that he's a tragic figure in this situation. Yeah, I can accept that he thinks that he's a cool guy, but, his treatment of Mel, the speed and preparedness of him, like, oh, I'm just going to go down the coast and see if I can find out if there's any fireflies. Like, Mel wound up showing up, but I didn't get the sense that that was part of his plan unless I missed a line of dialogue. Wynn says Owen's a mixed bag character. He's actually one of the least tribal, more empathetic people in the story. He's not really on board the WLF cause, but he also was the one to save, and he was also the one to save Ellie and Tommy's lives, so he's at least some moral fortitude, but he's an undateable douche nozzle. Yes, and those things can all be true. Somebody can be like a decent person, but treat their significant others really badly. A person can, for example, be a very admirable writer and TV series creator, but also treat their stars in a very, very ugly way that's been corroborated by a number of said stars. People have goods and bads to them, and very, very rarely are purely virtuous or purely villainous. Which I think is sort of something that people have to, like, start to adjust to in the internet age. It does feel like very much like we live in an era of, oh, I love this person. I love this person. Oh, they're so funny. They're so quirky. They're so great. Oh, they said or did one thing a while ago, and now they're the worst. There are, like, we can update our assessments of people in accordance with new information. Yes, let's do that. But let's also understand that just because somebody is a great singer or a great actor or really believes in this one cause doesn't mean that they don't have other causes or other thoughts or other opinions that are like, whoa. So just let's temper our expectations for human perfection or villainy because, again, complicated creatures. Sam says, anyway, I was Pumpkin half an hour ago. Thank you for playing this game. Sam Lander, thank you. He's probably long gone now, but Sam Lander, thank you very much for hanging out. Null said, Owen saved Ellie's life. Ironically, Sam Lander says, I don't think I know a streamer who could have done it more justice. Hopefully, if that's towards the game, thank you very much. That means a lot. Drian said, he tried to, meaning Owen. Abby finalized it. Oh, in terms of like walking away from Ellie. Yeah, it was very much Ellie's mission. She was the one calling the shots there. It wasn't Owen that saved Ellie, more than for a few minutes anyway. He basically stalled them, then Abby told him to stop, and they were done. I do agree with Null, though, that, even if Owen didn't have the respect or command authority to have finalized it, he still did save her life. I mean, Abby was sort of distracted by what she was doing. Like Owen, I feel, does deserve credit for saving Abby's life, saving Ellie's life, because if not for his intervention, they would have been dead before Abby sort of got around to sort of clearing her mind. Wynn says, but the point to me was she felt back into the rut of vengeance and pushed through it. She managed to defuse herself and do the right thing. Yep, very true. Dran says, while I strive for balance in most anything, I cannot feel equally about these two characters. They are not balanced to me. I wouldn't say that they're balanced either. I'd say that they feel like they're moving in opposite directions on the same sort of path, where Ellie winds up going the wrong way for a very long time. Drin says, it makes sense that they would make her such a likable person since they had to counteract the built-in loyalty from Ellie and Joel in the first game. Yeah, and yeah, I guess. I don't know that I have anything to add about that. Wynn says, yes, Disco Elysium. Yeah, it's definitely on the docket as far as when. Sometime this year, I would expect. Dran says, small minority is the most vocal than anyone ever, if they're a small minority and not just a slight minority. In terms of the people who are angry at the game, this game got rave reviews, right? And it sold very, very well. At least that's my understanding. The idea that people, all I can say is, I hope that I'm right about this, and that the majority of people that played it understood what Naughty Dog was working towards and appreciate it for how well that it pulled it off. Then again, I feel like I'm alone on a boat in the ocean when I talk about how the original Watch Dogs is a lot more subversive than people think it is. I kind of feel similarly about that, where it's like, guys, what if the person that you're playing as isn't the hero of the story? He thinks he is, but he's not. What if that was the message of the game, not the writing is bad? I mean, the writing isn't great, but I don't think it's... Anyway, that's a whole different franchise. We'll, move on about this. This game has the most Game of the Year awards, both from media and player choice, than any in history. Basically, the haters can go... The haters can go crying to their... I'm glad I finished the sentence. Go crying to their bigot sandwiches. That's very funny. I've not heard that phrase again. Noel saying that Abby was a notorious scar killer, which is probably correct. And the scars were child-killing assholes. I wonder how much of that was born out of... I was about to say out of their war with the... But yeah, you don't dedicate entire squads to go find and kill... is it Lev that was clarified as being 13? I'm trying to remember. But to kill like a 13-year-old kid if you're really worried about your war. Azric says, I also think the fuel for the rage of this game was only made greater by many YouTubers and such that it housed such reaction for this game and such for the drama algorithm that brought in views for their channel. I know I watched at least five or more that did that and found it fully appalling, as at the time they hadn't even played the game or were going off the leaks that were floating around everywhere. Yeah, it was a interesting journey to not get spoiled. I hope... I just hope that my position on that is clear. I think it's so silly. It was something that Drienne said during the last episode. What was it specifically? So, that this game was ruined by all the SJW woke, I still can't talk about it without laughing, because it's like, yes, oh boy, they really nailed Naughty Dog there. Acknowledgement that people exist. Acknowledgement that gay people and trans people exist on planet Earth and might continue to exist after a zombie apocalypse. Boy, it's so woke to simply acknowledge the truth that they are in the world. It's so silly. Basically, if we can't laugh at them, then I don't know. We'd have to find a way to engage with them constructively, because we can't shut them up. So, I don't know how to engage with them constructively. So I prefer to laugh at them because they are very silly. The game hadn't even been released yet, and not many had played it, and they were all set to burn it. That's very sad to me. To be so angry about something that you haven't played is nuts. Drienne agrees. I think Dana was done. She expressed as much as Ellie was leaving. Ellie basically told her it was her choice and walked out. If Dina didn't end it, then I would have a touch less respect for her for clearly not respecting herself enough. I would have been okay if Dina was still there, just because they did have a really good thing going there. In terms of her decision to leave and not leave a note, that, if you're going to leave, I guess that's the way to do it, right? Because, I'm done. Ellie walked out on me. I deserve better than this. I'm going to go build a new life that I don't have to worry about my significant other going away. I'd love to, say her wife, but I don't know that they had any sort of ceremony. It's not acknowledged. We didn't see any rings. Wins also says, I think Dina was done. I guess I still hold out some hope. I like that ambiguity, though, not knowing for sure. Win says, this is Catalina Island. Abby and Lev made it to the... Oh, is that what this means? And Drienne might have clarified this earlier. So according to Wins, this is Catalina Island. Abby and Lev made it to the Firefly, so that's whose boat it is. Okay, I'm glad you knew that. And probably Drienne knew that as well, because I was not... when Drienne said something about Catalina, I did not know that was Catalina Island. We live on the opposite side of the country, so... Large domed building at Avalon, as the Firefly on the radio says. So that is new information. That's our post-credit sequence, because that is completely new information to me. Dran says, since it got skipped, reposting this, that is Catalina Island off the coast of California. That's where the Firefly on the radio told Abby and Lev to go. Yeah, I try to catch as many comments as possible, but thank you for making sure that that was clear. Like, that is a perfect example of why we're taking this time. It's after 11, thanks to Daylight Savings Time. I need to stop, but that is an extremely important plot point that I wouldn't have known. Null says, so they broke up and she still pines for Dina and keeps wearing the bracelet like an engagement ring. Was there a bracelet thing? I didn't notice the bracelet. Oh dear. Like at all. Wait. Did she get a bracelet at some point? Was there a thing about like a friendship bracelet for her birthday? Oh boy. This feels like a deep cut. I'm going to have to scroll down to the bottom now because I don't want to miss the answer to this. Did she get a friendship bracelet from Dina when she was like 14 or 15? I think she might have. And it never occurred to me that she was still wearing it. Thank you to the follow from Cryptokin26. You're catching us right at the end, but we'll have many, many more fun streams to come up. Wynn says, I think Abby was trying to phase out violence a bit. She was working at a WLF salmon hatchery. She tells Mel this in the truck. Wins, you are the master of subtle plot points. Also, Janet said she left to go on her vengeance quest not because she was breaking up. Dina, however, told her that she wasn't going to do this anymore, and Ellie told her it was her choice. Also true. Yeah, see, I'd forgotten that moment of their exchange. Null says every character has a lot of flaws. It's interesting to see how some flaws have greater weights than others. Flaws should be acknowledged. Some flaws affect other people more than others, and when it negatively affects others, it cannot be glossed over. That was a comment from Drienne. Oh gosh, I think that we've actually reached the bottom. Ouch. So Wins was saying, yep, I think that the round building and dome thing confuses most players. And then Dina gave Ellie... Was that in... When? Like, I've missed the bracelet thing, or I've forgotten about it, which she wasn't wearing the bracelet as she left until the final scene. There was a whole B plot about a bracelet. Oh no. This, if you're watching this series and you've seen it over a very short period of time, this series of The Last of Us 2 was actually played over the course of a couple weeks, and some of the episodes were interspersed with Anno 1800 and some Red Dead Redemption 2, and there were some other streams that happened in the middle, some breaks with various things. So it has been somewhat longer for me to play through than it might have been for someone to watch. Dina gives Ellie the bracelet when Ellie goes off alone on Seattle Day 2, says Winds of the Weird. I have absolutely no memory of this. Like, you know how sometimes somebody's like, oh, I do remember that. I don't remember this at all. Not at all. Wow. And if you, like, hopefully people know that if they've been watching this channel, I try to pay attention to all this stuff. Like, how many times have I talked about the one line of dialogue when Owen says Mel is pregnant at the very beginning? Like, I latched onto that like a lamprey. I didn't let go of that. And I completely missed this thing with the bracelet. And also, I did go back and look at the scene from the previous episode when Yara shoots Isaac. And in the rewatch, it was abundantly clear what had happened. I just, when Isaac got shot, I was so surprised that when the camera panned down to where Yara was, I just didn't visually put together that she was holding a pistol and firing it, like she had just fired it at Isaac. It was perfectly clear in the rewatch. And I don't know if this ever happens to other people where, like, you just don't see what you're intended to see. Here's another random example of that. There's a scene in Seinfeld where George and Kramer go mountain climbing with Tony, and the carabiner isn't properly, or the like piton isn't in all the way, and Tony falls, and then you get this wide angle shot of Kramer and George hanging onto the side of the cliff. Except, I must have watched that episode 4 times before I saw them on the side of the cliff. And if you go watch it, you'll say, "What? How are you legally blind? How do you not see them? They're so apparent." But like, I watched that episode 3-4 times, and I guess I was just looking for the wrong thing in the wrong place. I just didn't see them. And then one day I did, and they're so large and so present on screen that you'd say, how could you possibly overlook them? I don't know if that's an experience that other people have. It's not like decoding one of those 3D vision puzzles. You should be able to see these things. But sometimes my eyes just, I don't see it. I don't see the thing that's right there. And that, in my defense, was a very quick cutaway. And I just misinterpreted what it was. And it was one of those moments where we're glad to have chat around, because they were like, no, here's what happened. Null says it's perfectly reasonable to think they're happily living in Jackson with JJ's grandparents. Yeah, isn't there a reference to Jesse's parents at the dance? No. Somebody does mention Jesse's parents, and that hadn't occurred to me until this comment right now. You would think it would be kind of inappropriate for Dina to go off someplace new if there's still some blood relatives in the area. You know, you'd want them to have a relationship with their grandparents, and given how cool Jesse was, you'd kind of expect that his parents would be pretty decent. You'd like to think, anyway. Cara Luna also did not notice it in the Isaac and Yara episode. Okay, so I feel good that I'm not the only one that was briefly confused. Dran says, I think that would be a total disregard of everything Dina told Ellie as she was leaving, but obviously there's no confirmation either way afterwards. And Null says there's a letter in that. Did I miss the letter? I thought I looked everywhere for the letter. Null, where was the letter in the house? It's perfectly reasonable to think that they're living happily ever after in Jackson. So I missed the letter. And again, this is the time for clarity on points like that. Apparently there was a letter in the house. I thought I looked everywhere before arriving at Ellie's room. Apparently I missed it. Then again, I missed the, just walk through this door when I said, there's nothing here. This is a complete dead end. Oh, wait, here it is. Null saying to Drienne, you don't think that if Ellie came back after the end of this game, they couldn't work it out? So I will say, for my answer, I would like them to work it out, because they're so good together. And actually, maybe this will be our last topic. But of all the characters that we've talked about Joel, we've talked about Abby, we've talked about Ellie, Lev, a little bit of Yara. I would have liked more Yara in this story. I don't know where it would have fit in, but Yara had a lot going on. Yara lost an arm, and that's just sort of like a thing that happens, and I never really got to hear from her how she was processing that. But we haven't talked about Dina, who is, when Dina was first introduced, I was worried of, okay, here we go, I didn't know what to think. My concern was that Dina was somebody who was just toying with Abby's emotions. Toying is a little bit too malicious. That Dina was just sort of fooling around and having fun, when it became clear to me very quickly that Ellie did have some feelings for Dina. And when I talk about early, I mean the first thing, when we first hear about her, because Ellie's talking about oh, there was this kiss, but it didn't mean anything. Dina just sort of gets flirty, and she'd had a lot to drink and whatever. So I was all prepped up on that this was not going to be as positive as a relationship as it was, and it really was. Up until we met Abby and Lev, I think that Dina and Ellie was my favorite relationship going, because Dina left behind, as far as we could tell, everything to go on this very dangerous journey with Ellie. Tommy took off on his own. Tommy didn't go with Ellie. Dina went with Ellie, and Dina fought alongside Ellie, and Dina, like, we can question the ultimate wisdom of this, but Dina decided to keep her pregnancy a secret because, as she put it, she didn't want to be a burden. And specifically what she means is that she didn't want Ellie to feel like she had to turn around. She wanted to be with Ellie to see this through, and she put her own health and safety at risk in order to make sure that Ellie's mission was done. And that's one of the things that makes it hard, that Ellie can't reciprocate on that. That once the mission's done, it's done, and you don't get to take a mulligan and say, I'm going back out there. Dina went with Ellie when Ellie needed it. Ellie didn't stay with Dina when Dina needed it. And I'd like to think that they can work it out because they seemed like they were so good together, but I can understand the reasons that they might not. So there's a conversation about the missing fingers. Wynn says the letter was on the dining room table when you first get to the Harm House after Seattle. Oh, it's from Jesse's parents. Okay, then I probably did read that at the time. I thought that it might have been at the very end. Wynn says they're basically just saying you always have a place here if you need it. So, yeah, with that information, so I'm going to reset my prediction that she might have just gone off somewhere else. I think it makes all the sense in the world that she went back to Jackson to live with them, because any, single parenting is tough to wrap my mind around. That's a tough row to hoe, and you want to have as much support and eyes and hands as you possibly can, not to mention a diversity of opinions and outlooks and so forth. I'd much rather be with blood family, because you'd have to assume that Jesse's parents would take care of JJ as one of their own. But Brianna's saying that if they end up back together, it would take time and much reparation, in their opinion. I do not think that Ellie can walk back in and just have everything be the way that it was. I was thinking that when Ellie approached the farmhouse, I didn't know that Dina had moved out yet, and I thought that my internal prediction would have gone something about Dina rushing over, throwing her arms about Ellie, being so happy that Ellie's safe, and then saying, I've packed your things, you can't stay here. That's where I thought that direction was going to go, because it fit in with sort of what I was feeling the theme of the story of being of, like, there's some things you can't take back. There's lines that you can't uncross. And I thought that was going to be where that was go. To walk into an empty house was worse and better than I was thinking in my head. Null saying Ellie had PTSD before leaving. That was the freak out in the barn. Yeah, so the thing is, I understand where Drienne is coming from in terms of Dina's hesitance or refusal, presumed refusal to get back together, because the fact that Ellie has PTSD doesn't change the fact that the way that she worked through it was to abandon her family. As much venom as I've directed towards Owen for his decision to abandon his family, I'd be consistent with Ellie on that. Ellie has Dina. Ellie has JJ. This is a positive and bright and warm relationship that they have. And Dina cops at one point, do you think any of this is easy? Because they've both been through so much. But it feels so authentic before you get there. And I understand why Dina would be extremely hurt and abandoned by that, because Ellie was very cold when she walked out. Now that Drian sort of reminded me that it was like, you do what you have to do. It's your decision. Dina says, I'm not doing this anymore. And Ellie just says, it's your decision. You know, what Ellie means is, I have to go through this, go do this. And what Dina means is, your decision is going to hurt me and hurt JJ, and I'm not going to be able to get past it. She warns her. So that's that. Wynn says, here's a fun fact. When Ellie is going through the sewer on her way to the hospital, you pass a large drain, down which comes the sound of growling and gunfire. That's Abby fighting the Rat King. Is that true? Wow. Also, New Game Plus with all your stuff is such a blast. Exploding arrows and silenced SMGs from the start of Seattle. Yeah, it is comparatively unlikely that I will replay this, at least for a very, very long time, especially since we've got it on stream. But that is not an indictment of the quality of this game, but rather a testament to the quality of all of the other games. And it is 11:20 here on the Eastern Seaboard. I need to wrap up. I have incredibly positive things to say about this game, and I meant what I said, I think, in just the last episode. I think that this game is a masterpiece. It took a lot of risks, and in my view, it succeeded at all of them. It subverted my expectations for what the story might be structured like. It introduced new characters that I feel, in Abby in particular, went on to be the hero of the story. Not in saying that Ellie, well, maybe hero is going a little bit too far, but the good guy in the story is the person that we are set up at the beginning to detest the most. And it accomplished this through a lot of very thoughtful writing and a lot of great character moments. And one thing that may not be clear from watching this series here on the channel is that there were so many conversations happening off stream about the characters and the moments and what we thought about Owen, and there was so much discussion about it. And that's not something that you're going to get when we're playing. I use like Anno 1800 as a comparison point. There's a lot of games out there and a lot of games that I enjoy playing, but the degree of deconstruction that was happening about this game it speaks so well to the writers and the actors and the composers and the animators and the level designers and the encounter designers and the combat mechanic people that put this all together. It's one of the reasons that I'd always want to let the credits in a game like this roll. It's a time to sort of discuss, a time to struggle with the volume, it turns out, but also a time to recognize all of the hard work that went into it. I struggle with whether to finish up a game like this by sending any sort of twitch towards Neil Druckmann or Ashley Johnson or Troy Baker or Laura Bailey, who are sort of the principal cast members. Not to mention, I don't happen to know off the top of my head who played Dina, who played Jesse, who played Tommy. Oh, does anybody... Here's one question that I've been wondering about. Was Tommy played by the same voice actor in this game as in the previous game? I can look it up afterwards, but this was something that I didn't want to look up during. Of everybody in the whole place, including Maria, so Drian says the same voice actor. He sounded very different to me. And it's not that so many years have gone by that I would have expected the voice to be a lot different, but I was wondering about that every time Tommy opened his mouth. He didn't sound the same to me. So that was something that I was sort of wondering as going through. But where I was going to say is that, in something like this, it wouldn't normally occur to me to say, hey, at you people, everybody that I just listed off, you guys made a hell of a game. And I think that it was absolute aces. I had a great time playing through it. I had moments that I loved. I had moments that I disliked. I wouldn't want to say dislike because it makes it sound like I am critical of the game. And my criticism of the game is that I loved it so much. I feel like I looked at this with a critical eye and came away saying that there were parts that made me deeply uncomfortable. There were parts that made me feel triumphant. There were characters that I grew very, very attached to, and I thought that all of their performance were great. And I wouldn't normally say something like this, except for the degree of abuse that was directed towards some of the people that made it. And again, if there's going to be a loud minority that gets to say whatever the hell they want, I would like the ability to say that they're full of shit. I just sort of don't know what they... Here's my assumption. They don't care, and also I wouldn't want to risk reminding people of the time that they hated on them, and now that generates even a momentary resurgence by like even one person who comes along and acts like a dipshit. And I'm certainly not going to private message anybody, so I'll probably just say what I have to say on Twitter, just to people that follow, and that'll be it. I don't know. I don't like being quote unquote scared into silence, but there are consequences to our actions. That's one of the themes of this game. And I don't want to say, hey, Laura Bailey, you fucking knocked it out of the park here. I think that you did a very, very impressive job. And then somebody sees that and decides to like lay into her or her family again. No, I don't want to be even tangentially responsible for that. Yeah, so Jeffrey Pierce is the name of the actor. The fact that he looked different, I could get past because it's a new engine. It's 4 years later. I guess at the very beginning, like here's what I mean. At the very beginning, when Joel was polishing that guitar and was talking to Tommy, it took me like I wasn't sure for a while who we were talking to. I just stayed quiet because I was like, boy, like blonde hair, and who would Joel ever confide in? It sure seems like it's Tommy, but it doesn't look like him. One other thought on our way out. I thought it was very clever that they handled Ellie's bite mark by applying a chemical burn, bandaging it, as we saw during that scene when Joel stops by to tell the clock joke. She's wearing a bandage, and at first I just thought, oh, that's how they're covering it up for now. It didn't occur to me that there would have been a chemical burn to sort of like disfigure the scar enough that it doesn't look like anything anymore, and then she gets that tattoo on top of it. I thought that was super, super smart. It didn't occur to me before starting the game, how would they ever explain this once it gets hot and people are running around in short sleeves? But yeah, that was cool. I like that. Wynn says these people are just going to have to deal with the fact that it's the most awarded game of all time. The most awarded game of all time has a lesbian protagonist, a strong woman protagonist, and with an atypical body type, and a kick-ass trans boy. Oh, that's one other thing that I did know. I had long since forgotten it, but once we got scenes with Abby wearing like basically sleeveless tops, and we got to see like how built she was, that was when I suddenly remembered. Right, wasn't there some laughing at people that were upset about muscular women? And I don't remember if I put that together with this game specifically or what, but yeah, apparently that was a thing, that like women can't be that muscular. And I'm like, hey, have you seen like Chyna from the WWE? I don't have a good mental picture of like Gina Carano at the height of her career, but she must have been pretty built too. Like, where do you think their strength comes from? Just like BioWare magic? Like, yeah, they work out a lot. They get muscles. I don't know. I thought that Abby was cool as shit. Drin sent a message in Discord about those preemptive bans. Oh yeah, we'll look through some of those. Since it's now safe for you to look at them, LOL. People are horrible about Abby's body type. She's literally modeled after a real woman. Wow. See, I didn't know that. And then the bite represents her secret immunity, the scar represents her deception, and the tattoo over top features the moth on the guitar, a symbol of her relationship with Joel, layers of meaning literally on her flesh. That's very poetic. I wouldn't have put any of that together. Her body is a scan of Colleen Frosch, a CrossFit model, and if anything, they toned it down. Wow. and her face and body are two very different and very real to me. So her face looked to me like Laura Bailey. And like I don't know, I don't have the language of like people to describe it, but like her face looked similar to Laura Bailey to me. It wouldn't surprise me if okay, so her face is based off of one of their employees. So no, not intentional then. But there's something about it that was evocative of how Laura Bailey looks. Specifically, I've seen her in Critical Role, and that's where it was. So apparently the face model for Abby was someone named Jocelyn Mettler. So that's a fun Easter egg. So that's it. I have to stop. I had to stop half an hour ago. That is our summation and our full playthrough of The Last of Us, the Left Behind DLC, and now The Last of Us Part 2. This game was awesome. And it was awesome in a way that was very important because starting in 2021, I felt like I had some games of very mixed reception for me personally. We had Black Sad, and I had some complicated thoughts about that. We had, Alien Isolation, which was, I probably played that on slightly too hard of a difficulty, and it wound up interfering with my enjoyment of a game that I did have a lot of appreciation for, but parts of it were rough going. And there was at least one other thing that was like, not that I had a bad time with it, but this was one of those experiences, this journey, and to being able to take this with you guys and talk about it with Mia and with others, and I really had a great time with this one. So mark this off as an early contender for one of the best streams or games that we did of 2021. It's gonna have some competition ahead of it, but oh, really? Jocelyn is a Twitch streamer and has been playing The Last of Us 1 lately. Interesting. I might have to look that up afterwards. Okay, so let's go find somebody fun to raid. On our way out, I do hope that people will check our About page for some information about some of the great streamers that we like to interact with. Given the degree to which we talked about the game, I don't know that I have a lot of energy to do our normal list of shoutouts that we generally do at the end of each stream. But please check out our About page, and beyond the people that you'll find with direct links on the About page, please check out people like the Geek Pantheon, Caraluna, Caralluna, Samalander, let's see. Oh, Centrifugal Force. It's a shame that Centrifugal Force wasn't here today. Hopefully she has a chance to see the ending, because she was pretty deep into the story with us. Ricardinho, Just Vibing. And I'm going to spell that one. Ricardinho, Just Vibing, for the rest of it. He says, thanks for the fun stream. Azarick is another person that I'd love to call attention to. Azarick. Please check out Psycho4136, who, if you've been following along on our outros, we've been directing people to go check out Psycho and follow him. And I don't know if anybody from our channel did, but anyone that did, thank you so much. We saw the announcement on Twitter. Psycho did get offered affiliate status and is now full affiliate. So very exciting for him. Congratulations to Psycho4136. Much deserved. And on our way out, because I said that he has streamed some Division 2. I had forgotten. I really need to stop this stream. But Psycho does stream the Division 2, but he also streams Star Trek Online, which I've never seen anyone else stream that. One of the great things about having a sort of wide breadth of stream people to recommend is that somebody out there is streaming something that nobody else does. And for Psycho4136, it's Star Trek Online. And I would really like to catch some of those streams live, because I have some questions about how the game is structured and how the story unfolds and stuff. But yeah, for sure. Check out Psycho4136, Centrifugal Force, and I Moo Do You Moo Too, who also just recently hit affiliate. So huge congratulations to her. I'm sure there's many other people that we'd like to shout out, but I am very tired, so we're going to stop here. Next is a Grounded Permadeath run. Yeah? No. If I were to do some predictions, I think next up will be a return and a high dedication towards our Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough. That was something that was sort of intended to be interwoven with other streams because it's a fun open world game with lots of time to talk about any number of topics plus some very cool story beats, but it really got backburnered because we got very much sucked into this. So that is sort of waiting in the wings, and I would think that that's where we'll be visiting next. On the docket later in the year, lots of exciting stuff. As of today, we got our pre-order locked in for Evil Genius 2. Hopefully that'll make for a fun stream or series of streams because I was a big fan of the original one. But yeah, let's wrap it up. And Groovy says that Moo says good night and see you in the VOD. We will see you. Hello to Moo, wherever you are, whenever you are, who might be watching this in the VOD. Hope that you have had a great evening. We are now going to have a great evening of heading directly to bed. You guys, thank you very, very much, and we'll see you again in the future. Until next time, have a great night.